Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Tryon. What a night. Thank you for being here in the old-fashioned apron class. I am wearing one right now, not just as an apron, but as a little dress. I'm just going to give it a little show off here beside my friend, the mannequin who's got the one that we're going to be making here tonight on. But my good friend Mavis, my best friend's mom, she's actually in Quilting 101. She said, make it out of linen, Jen, and wear it as a little outfit. And that's what I've done here. Just let me know if you can hear me okay. This is our major dilemma of the night. But I wanted to show you that it's not just for the kitchen. You could be wearing this crisscross apron as a little jumper. That's what I'm doing right now with a turtleneck and leggings. And I got to say, it covers a whole myriad of evils. So if you are inspired to make this apron, maybe, check it out in like one of these woven fabrics. This is Fabulism. It's on our website and you can check it out at homemade.ca. And if you have any questions or need anything, you can always reach out to us at info@homemade.ca. We got all of the kits out. If you ordered in the very last minute, then maybe yours is still on the way. But don't worry, this class will stay posted. You can come back to it anytime. Please let me know where you are tuning in from tonight. I love knowing where you guys are in the world. I've got my daughters, Violet and Ruby, behind the cameras tonight. Violet's there, going to read out your questions. Hi, Violet.
Hello.
How are we doing there? People tuning in?
Yeah.
And we got sound?
Yes.
All right. I won't take too long on the intro here because I know some people will be watching on the replay and we just want to get to making this great apron. So in your kit, and if you don't have a kit, no sweat. You can try to follow along with what we're doing without a pattern, or we can send you just the pattern. The pattern's $15. The whole kit's $59. And we can put a link up or just go to homemade.ca and shop around for the apron class and you'll find it. Either the class only, the pattern only, or you can get the whole kit. And we're using these great vintage prints by Poppy Cotton, and they're just the cutest. We have just selected a coordinating print. So I've got two of the prints right here, and I can't even tell what print I love the most. I've made this apron now a couple of times, and there's so many cute prints. So please, when you look at all these cute prints. When you guys get your apron finished, please post it in the Homemade with Jennifer Tryon group. That's where we post all the things that we're making that are homemade. And look at this cute collection. Violet, I'll show you on the overhead. Look, I mean, it's so cute. Yeah, Ruby, let's see. So we've made this apron a bunch of times so that I could really work out all the kinks and give you guys the best possible class. So I've got a couple shortcuts for you that aren't in the pattern. And I have a couple things that I've done that I think make it a little bit easier than what the pattern's saying. But if you follow the pattern, to the T, you'll be fine too. So let's get started making this crisscross apron. I got to tell you, it's so much more comfortable than a regular tie-up apron. Who has a grandma or someone in their life that used to wear an apron like this? It's just like sort of gives you that warm feeling, I think. All right, so we're starting with 2 yards of fabric, and I've got this folded. Oh, don't go anywhere, instructions. We're starting with 2 yards of fabric, plus you need to cut out your pattern pieces. So hopefully you've done that already. Or if you're not sewing, you're just watching right now, that's totally fine too. This is going to stay posted. You can rewatch whenever you want. So if you're just watching now to get the lay of it, then you can sew yours after. Go ahead, Violet.
How many times can you use one pattern?
You can use this pattern over and over and over and over and over and over and over. You can see I've already made like 4 of these. So the pattern is big. It's a paper pattern that we send you. And it's extremely big, actually. It's like literally almost the whole yard of fabric. This is what the main pattern looks like. And this is not the front of the pattern. It's actually the side. You can see it now when you see it like this. This is how this goes, which is why we're going to cut this on the fold. And so you're going to cut out this large piece here. You're going to cut out the pocket piece. And beware, you guys, that when we cut this, This scoop neck, this is the fabric for the pocket. So don't inadvertently take your scissors and go cutting across here, or you won't have enough for the pocket. We need this for the pocket. We're going to place this side actually on the fold. This is going to be for the pocket. And then we're going to have sort of this line of fabric left over. And that is going to be for this band. And you're going to need to cut out some band pieces. Sorry, that's just slightly off the camera there. This band piece. So almost all of the full yard is being used. Now, I will give you a little hint here. It's almost the full yard. You can see if you just want to go ahead and not trim the bottom and have it be a little bit longer, then you don't have this like 1 or 2 inch wasted strip. So I would just go ahead and leave that. That's what I've done in the majority of mine that I've made. And, you know, a little extra length never hurt. Besides, you're going to end up like, you know, hemming this up anyway. So that's just, you know, a little less waste. So let's layer this up to start. So I'm going to take both of my yards of fabric and I'm just laying them out folded. Be careful if your fabric is directional. You're going to want whatever is facing up to be at the top, and really make sure that the folds are flush. Now you can cut this out one at a time, but you need 2 equal pieces. So let's layer it up and we'll save some time. And I'm going to put this on the fold. And I'm going to go ahead and just line up that top strap. This is what I'm going to refer to as the straps. And I'm actually going to touch my pattern with my iron here because it's been folded a few different ways. And nothing wrong with touching paper. Yeah, it's curling a little bit. That's fine. Okay. So the pocket piece is going to go in the middle here. I'm just going to wait and cut that out after. And I'm going to cut out the band after also. I'm bringing over my cutting ruler, sort of to act as a little bit of a paperweight. And just going to make sure this is really lined up on the fold. And I'm just going to start at the neckline. Need to move it over a little. There we go. And, you know, I'd recommend cutting with the rotary cutter, even on parts that aren't straight. Scissors, they have their place for sure, but I find the rotary cutter works great. I like to use my ruler as a bit of a guide on the straightaways. And then I can just go down the curve. And now we're going through 4 layers here, which is no problem for a rotary cutter. But you just have to be, you know, get a little bit of arm strength in there. I like using the ruler as a guide. And now remember, so I have a couple little, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, the way we would cut out quilt squares and want it to be like right on the money, you have, you know, clothing and that are it's a little bit more forgiving because you've got seams that are going to get tucked in or serged or whatever. I am going to use the serger. You don't need to use the serger, but I'm going to use it. Because there's some spots that we could finish the edges. So I'm just going to put this with my pocket piece and just set it aside for now. I've got still my folded piece here. Let's make sure everything is nice and even. Laying nice and flat. And I'm just going to cut that other side. How many people are sewing along with me and how many people are just watching? and are going to sew later, let me know. And Violet, you can let me know what people are up to. It's hard to sew and watch at the same time. And I don't blame you for wanting to like stop and rewind and that kind of thing. All right. You can see how the cutting ruler comes in handy with straight edges like this. And if your rotary cutter goes through the paper a little bit, you know, try not to let it go through the paper, but it's all right. It's not the end of the world.
Everyone's watching.
Everyone's watching.
Trying to.
Yeah, and it's going to sew later. Makes sense. Makes sense. If you haven't gotten a kit or you still want a kit, we still have a couple. I think I saw 3 left in the box downstairs. So if you're loving the vintage prints here, the poppy cotton fabric, or you want we have lots of patterns. If you don't want the kit, you just want the pattern, we can get it out to you. Just send us an email at info@homemade.ca, or you can just buy it online. That's fine too. Okay, so even though I'm going to leave the length, because why waste the fabric, I am going to square it up, because you can see my yardage. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but my yardage here is just a little uneven. So I'm just going to square that up so everything's nice and straight. There we go. Okay. So that's the bulk, our main apron pieces. I'm just going to set that on the ironing board for right now. We still need to cut out our band pieces. So the side piece that's still all layered up with all 4 pieces, we need 2 from each of these. So I'm just going to lay that down, and I'll conserve as much fabric as possible. And I'll just cut this out. The ruler will help. And this is a good scrap. This is a good bit of scrap for the scrap pile. And just pushing that over away from the salvage. And this side too. It's just a lot easier. I know you get the odd little hair here. I got to change my rotary blade, I guess. It's just a lot easier and a lot straighter than scissors. All right, so these bands, we're not going to use these for a little bit. We've got some work to do before we get to this. So I'm going to set those bands aside. I'm going to bring back my pockets. To be honest, the first, half of this project is all about the pockets. So when you're cutting the pockets, I'm going to suggest that when you size them, that you cut not from up here, but from down here. Because this, when you cut it off, is a much more usable piece of fabric than this one with the smiley dip. So I'm going to go here, line it up, and trim that off because that is a very good scrap. So I'll set that with the scrap pile. And so I'm done with my pattern pieces for right this second. So those can go aside. The instructions for this are just here. That's it, just on the side of the piece that you're cutting out. So don't get rid of those. Keep this all together if you're going to make them at different times. And you'll also notice, a couple little notes and things on the pattern piece themselves. There's no separate book. This strip is your instructions, but I'm going to go through it all too, so you can just feel free and watch. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pockets to the ironing board. So the pattern calls for some fusible stabilizer in the pockets. And I've made this a few times now, and I did use stabilizer on this first one, like the pattern said. And I just found it too stiff compared to the rest of the apron. It felt like I had like kind of pieces of cardboard on the front. It did not feel like loose and kind of nice. So I did not include the stabilizer in the kit. However, you can use the stabilizer if you want. Instead, what I did was I found that because the pockets are double-sided, that was stiff enough. When you added stabilizer to both sides and then the fabric, it was just too stiff. So it's up to you if you want to add the stabilizer like the pattern suggests, but I've omitted it and I really like the feel of just the doubled up fabric. So what I'm going to do here with the pockets to start is just with right sides down, I'm going to flip it over, about an inch and press it. And I'm going to do this to each piece. But instead of trying to match up each piece, I'm just going to lay one piece over top of the next piece and match this up here like that. That way, it doesn't really matter if I'm fully an inch or I'm shy by a smidge. If I lay them down and line them up this way, then I know they're all going to match together. Because we are going to be sewing these right sides together. This, even though it seems like we're making a little pocket in itself, this is actually going to be the front of the pocket, and the apron itself is actually the back of the pocket. So take all your pocket pieces one at a time, and I'm just folding this down. And one more. Okay. And I'm going to bring my sewing machine over and get myself ready to sew here. So I'm using the Janome 9480. This, I gotta say, it's been my new favorite all-around sewing machine. It's a beauty. Lots of throat space, lots of computerization, tons of accessories, so it's been really good. And I have got the air thread serger here. You can use any serger, doesn't have to be the air thread. Any serger is better than no serger. But if you don't have a serger, don't worry about it. You can just make this on your sewing machine. It's totally fine. But there are some edges that would be great to finish with the serger, so that's what I'm going to show you where you can use it. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is, the pattern suggests, because it's saying to put stabilizer on the back, the pattern suggests folding in all of your edges like this. And because this is a curve, in order to get a real circular pattern here, a circular shape, we'd have to be snipping and cutting. And honestly, it's just not great. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to finish this edge with the serger, and then I'm going to flip it right side out. So let's put right sides together. And you don't have to use the serger for this part, but it's going to finish these edges, which is great. And then I'm going to flip it right side out. So I'm bringing this over to the serger. So Ruby, you could grab a shot of the serger here with that. Yeah. And I got to take who sews with their shoes off? Yep. No, I have to sew with my shoes off, so I've just taken my shoes off. So I'm using 4 threads here. My tension is all at 3. My differential feed is at about just above the R, almost at 2. And my stitch length is at about 1.75. And I'm just going right around that edge. I'm not taking off very much at all. Oh, it just came unthreaded. I just broke this thread. Always, always while live. Okay, I'm just going to go on the sewing machine for now. I'm just going to sew right around, even though that serged edge does look so nice. And the air thread serger is a breeze to thread. I could just rethread it, but I'll just keep going for now. All right, so I'm just going to sew all the way around. And this pattern calls for 1/4 inch seam allowance. There are parts of the pattern, though, especially on the top stitching, where it feels like 1/4 inch is just too much. So I'm going to show you some places where you can tighten up that seam on the top stitching and use a couple of your accessories to help you get really good edges. So I'm just back stitching here. Okay, so there's one done, and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing with this side. So right sides together. And we've got that turned in about 1 inch. And you can pin this if you're not confident you can keep it lined up. There'll be places where we definitely are going to pin, but this is a pretty easy one. And I'm back stitching at the beginning. And just with 1/4 inch. How are people doing there, Violet?
Good. Good.
Everybody's just watching, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I found this method a little bit easier than what they suggested in the pattern. The pattern suggested folding your edges in and then top stitching them all together at once. I don't find it's as neat that way. Okay, so we've got our kind of semicircle shape here. We're going to turn it right side out. And you want to take a minute to really push out your seam allowance here. You might need to get a little tool. You can use a pencil, a pokey tool. Screwdriver always works. The end of the seam ripper with the cap on always works. So that's what I'm going to do, is just take the end of the seam ripper with the cap on and just make sure the seams are really out and as rounded as possible, because we need to press this. So that looks good. Just push those seams right out and bring it over to the ironing board. And we're going to give it a good press. We're not sewing any seams that we haven't pressed here. And just make sure your seam is lying nice and flat, that one side isn't rolling over the other. Now, one thing I kind of messed up here is really I should have sewn these to either side. So really what I want to do, and it's because I'm like blathering on here, but you guys can decide. If you want your pocket to be the same as the front of your apron, Or do you want them to be different? Really, I wanted the inside of my pocket to be this color and the outside to be the same as my apron. So I need to make a quick seam rip. So I'm just going to quickly seam rip. And actually, it's good to show seam ripping because sometimes people avoid seam ripping because they think it's going to take forever. But if you just get the first couple stitches out, like especially the ones that you've back stitched over, and you kind of open it up, then you can really get it going like pretty quickly, see? Maybe around the corner will be a little tougher, but best to do this right. And I'll try to pay more attention. You guys know me, right? Who was at home shouting, wait, I think you're supposed to do that the other way. Speak up if you see. Ruby's like, I saw that and I knew the whole time. Thanks. Well, good thing that the serge didn't go through because that would have been way longer. So I am going to, just for the sake of the class here, I'm just going to trim this one because that's the serged edge. That takes much longer. So that won't really show that much. That's fine. And then I'm going to do this side, same deal. Just quickly snip it out. And then we'll put opposite fabrics together. See, this is why you watch first. And everyone can have a nice laugh at my expense.
They are. They're all laughing.
Everyone's laughing?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They're all saying, like, I knew that.
Yes, they knew. I know. Hey, it's much easier to watch than it is to do, especially live. Yeah, live. Sewing live. It's a sport, all right. Okay, this will only be another second.
Dad said lol.
Oh, thank you. Hey, you guys know sewing is 90% troubleshooting, right? 8% love, 2% getting it right.
The seam ripper is our friend.
It is. So it just goes to show if you make a little mistake like this, what is this? Like 3 minutes to just zip it out and get it right. Okay, I'm going to press these again. Here we go again. Who thinks I should rethread the serger? Let's just ask everybody. Do you want me to do it on the serger or just keep going with the sewing machine? All right, I'm pressing this down just to get that, because I'd already pressed it, when I noticed the error of my ways. So make sure if you do this, I'm just going to make sure I keep that top fold in. Any votes on the serger?
Thread it, thread it,
Thread it, thread it, thread it. Okay. We'll do it right. I just told you guys to do it right, so I'll do it right too. All right. Sorry, my serger is plugged in so far away, and so I can only get it over this far. Okay.
50-50.
I think it just needs the one needle rethreaded. That's the beauty of the air thread serger. Unlike other, oh no, I do need to rethread it all. unlike other sergers, you don't have to rethread this one in order. But, okay. But it is very easy to thread, so I'm just going to lock it, clean it. That's not the official way we clean sergers at Homemade, but. All right, this one has to be locked, and it felt like, aha, that's why. Something got tangled up there and caught. Need my snips. Anyone else starting to sweat? Just me? All right, in we go. Now, Ruby, you could try to get in here with that camera so people can see the magic of the air threading. I'll turn it this way so you guys can see. So I've locked. Yeah, Ruby's just going to get in right in there.
Is that okay?
Yep, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to put my first thread down into the air chamber. Now, this is gray thread, which is not the best for like TV, but it is good for the project. So it'll make it a little harder for you to see it popping out there, but you'll be able to see it in just a second. So what you do with the air thread is it goes down in like this into that air chamber. And you want to make sure this little lever here is pointing at the looper that you're threading. So I'm threading that lower looper right now, and this is the air lever, and it's going to just pop right out of here. So as soon as I pull that, let's just keep it on that shot. As soon as I pull this lever down, did you see that thread pop out there?
Yeah.
Yep. Just don't put your hand on the camera because it's moving it. Yep, there we go. So now what I'm going to do, what did I do here? Oh, I'm putting, okay. All right. I'm paying attention to the kids on the camera and not this. All right, let's do that one more time. I'm going down into the air chamber with my thread. You want to get it, in about an inch. And you want to make sure you've got like a tail hanging down here. And that's just a little too zoomed in here. We need it more here. And just zoom out a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to lift the air, and it's going to go down in there, and you're just going to watch right here. Okay. Just and there's the thread right through that looper. I know the thread's kind of light, so all right, I'm going to do it down the next one. So in, down in. Now I'm going to just turn my dial towards the upper looper. Get that thread down into the upper looper just like that. And I kind of tap it in ever so slightly, or give it a little air push. And you want to make sure you've got a long enough tail, because it needs to thread all through these mechanisms in here. So you need to have a long enough tail. So now it's going to pop right out the top here. Did you see it come? Right there. And now I can just go ahead and thread the needles. And the needles are just like normal threading the needle, nothing special, other than it does have a needle threader on here, which is nice. So I'm using 4 threads, which means I'm using both needles, right and left. And there's one. Where's my tweezers when I need them, huh? And next one. This is also caught on something. Do you ever is it like a full moon, you guys? Like, what's happening? I know no one knows what day it is, especially me. What's that?
29.
The 20, yes, today is the 29th. Thanks, Ruby. But this is that gap between Christmas and New Year's when everything's a little bit of a fog, right? Yeah. And just threading that left needle. All right, we're going to be back and running in any second, you guys. Okay, once you have your serger threaded, always run a chain stitch, like a run of stitches, just to make sure you've got the chain going. And everything is good. Oh, my life. Oh, come on. All right. Press her foot down. The kids are looking at me like, what's wrong with your life? Something is just, there we go. It's just a stray. Stray threads everywhere. And they're all just gray on gray on gray. Okay.
Very nice nails, Mom.
Yes. Can you tell my girl's influence on me this week? It's the nails, which also means I can't do anything with these nails. All right, my eyesight is failing me. My hands are failing me. Technology is failing me. There we go. Into the hole. Really, you need to have tweezers when you're threading the serger, and I don't have them here. And so every time I go to grab it from the backside, nothing happens because my hands are just sausages and I'm all thumbs. So let's try again. There we go. Now I'm trying to pull it towards the back with these crazy nails. No tweezers. And everyone watching. Yes.
What is the purpose of the serger?
So because the fabric is a woven fabric, it will unravel in the wash if we don't finish the seams. Now, we could fold over the seams. Oh, chain stitch, thank God. We could fold over the seams. The pattern suggests just folding it over like this. But if we serge the seams, like I'm going to right now, I'll show you. You can see how this is sort of fraying. You can see the bits of fabric. If that stays just like that, if we don't finish this edge, in the wash, it'll just unravel. And over time, it will unravel. What the serger does is it gives you this seam right here. If you can see that finished edge, so that when you fold it up, none of this is going to unravel. So if whatever shirt you're wearing right now, if you turn over the sleeve, I bet you see a serged or even a cover hem stitch. So what the serger's doing, if you see here, what the serger's doing is it's cutting. So I've got little bits that are getting cut off here. I'm not taking off very much because the seam allowance doesn't call for a serged edge. So I'm just taking off just the hairs so it cuts and it finishes that seam. Can you see that edge there? That way.
Do it again. Everyone's saying you just did it again.
Oh my God, I just did it again. You guys, oh my gosh, thank you for telling me that. What is wrong with me?
So everyone's saying. Mom.
Don't undo the whole.
No, I'm not undoing it. I have some other ones cut here. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me, you guys? That is a good question.
These comments.
Who's taking this class from me? All right. Oh my gosh. So these pockets are going to be just a wee bit smaller than what your pockets will be, okay? If the kids weren't here, I swear I would. Okay. So now these ones are a little bit smaller. I'm not even saying all the bad words that are going through my head because I'm trying to pretend that just didn't happen. So I'm just going to line these pockets up again, everybody, because if anyone takes a class again from me in the future, yes, prepare for all the knowledge and all the mistakes. So I'm just going to rough cut the second set of pockets so that this is my new pocket size, and that's fine. It's totally fine. What am I going to be carrying in here? Like binders? I'm probably not going to ever carry anything in this pocket. It's probably mostly decorative. So this is how I'm justifying this. Okay, everyone? Okay. Now, these are the same size. I am going to throw the serger out the window because obviously the serger is taking all of my attention. And I'm going to swap these 1 and 1 right sides together. Oh my gosh, we should be sewing the straps by now, you guys. Okay, right sides together. Here we go again. Right sides together. I got this, you guys. Does anyone want to teach me how to make this apron? I've only made 5 of these. Jeez. And you want to know what? I probably didn't even have to trim up those pockets because I could have just let the serger do the trimming as I went around. I love how Violet goes, people are saying you're doing it again. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's the second one. But we're doing it right this time. 3rd time's a charm. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
They're saying, what if they don't have a serger?
If you don't have a serger, you can just simply, especially for this part, just turn your seams under. For this part, you can just go right sides together as is. So you can just sew with your regular sewing machine all the way around. No big deal if you don't have a serger. This is just going to prevent those pockets from coming undone. But since Look at my tiny pockets. Tiny little cute pockets. That's how I'm gonna, my hand still fits in them, so that's good. That's something. It's a little later on that the serger becomes a little more important or saves you a little bit more of a step. You don't have to use the serger at this step. All right, I'm pushing my seams out yet again with the top of the seam ripper with the cap on. And I'm going to press. And it really is important here, you guys, to make sure your seams are pushed out. I know no one is going to take any of my advice since I'm obviously a Bruno, but it really is true. If you take a moment to make sure your seams are pushed out, you're going to have a rounder looking miniature pocket. All right, now that these are nice and pressed, I'm going to take this to my actual sewing machine now, and we're going to top stitch across. And because remember, we're not making a pocket like this that our hand goes into. This is actually just the front side of the pocket, and it's lined with the coordinating fabric. So you can decide if you want to put it whichever side you want, depending on whatever side you're going for. As your front. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to sew that part shut. So I'm just going to 1/4 inch seam allowance is what it calls for. I'm going to suggest that you do a smaller seam allowance than a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch feels a little big for top stitching. And so I'm going to suggest if you have a stitch in the ditch foot, that you use that, or an edge foot. This would be perfect for right now because what it's got, excuse me, hold on. Threading the serger, always dusty. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to use the ditch foot, which is the S foot, and you can see it here. It has an S on it. And it's not very expensive, but it has this sort of rudder that sticks out the middle. And an edge foot has a similar rudder that sticks out the edge. And what it allows us to do is go right along the edge and get our needle right close to the edge without going over. And so it's really useful when you want to top stitch something, but you don't want to fall off the cliff of the fabric. So I'm just going to use a regular straight stitch. And I'm going to push my needle over so that so I'm just going to push my needle over to the left a wee bit.
Mom, what brand of iron do you use?
This is also by Reliable. You guys have seen me use the one with the tank. This is also from them, and it's amazing. It's called the Velocity, and we've got one on the website, and it's just as good as the one that I'm always raving about, the blue one. The blue one's just downstairs right now. And this is the other one that we carry in the shop. And what I love about this one is the steam comes out as soon as you touch the handle. So you don't have to press anything. It just automatically comes out. And so I'm a big lover of steam. Okay, I'm just top stitching down the pockets here. stitch. So I just want to show you how nice and close to the edge that stitch lets me get without going over. And so that's just great for closing that up. Okay, I'm just going to press these one more time. And now what we're going to do is pocket placement. So I'm going to just set these aside. Set all my accessories aside here. I'm going to need them, so I'll keep them handy. I'm going to grab my two pieces, the big pieces of apron, and let's just give those a good press off. I've got my fold marks in them, and you'll be able to see this iron with the steam is really next level. I'm not even having to use the flatter. As soon as I touch it, the handle is activated, like the handle activates as the steam, and the fold line is gone. You know I love the iron with the tank, the external tank. This one you have to fill traditionally, like through here. But I know that steam is so good. It's the same price as the other iron. So if you like a more traditional iron, or you don't have the space for the big tank, this is the one to get. All right, just set that aside. This blue is going to be the front of this apron, and my sort of tan color here is going to be the inside. The apron really is reversible. It's just what side you're going to put your pockets on. You could always make a second set of pockets. If you wanted there to be pockets on the inside and the outside, that'd be fine too. Just get this big crease out. Now, obviously, I did not pre-wash my fabric. I'm not too worried. This is really good quality cotton. So I'm not worrying about pre-washing. Okay. So what we're going to do now is take whatever piece you want to be the front of your apron, and I'm going to lay it out, and we're going to do some pocket placement. And on your actual pattern, you can see there are these notches right here, and it says pocket corner location. And so I'm going to go ahead and lay this down on the apron, just on the one side. And I've got my little chalk wheel here. You could use just a disappearing ink or even just a pencil, but I'm using this little chalk wheel that I love. You just go like that and the chalk comes out. And I'm just going to put that corner spot on my fabric. I'm just going to fold where that corner line is and then fold it back again, creating the pocket corner. And I'm just going to mark it on there like that. So then I know that's the corner I'm going to put my pocket on. Then I'm going to flip it to this side, line things up, and go the other way. Find the line. Find the line again. There it is. And I'm just going to make that pocket location. And by the time I've got this all sewed, that chalk's going to have dusted off. So I'm not worried about it leaving a mark or anything like that. And now I can take my subpar pockets and line up those corners. And I'm going to pin them on. I don't need tons of pins, but I do want them to kind of stay placed. And I'm going to pin in the middle so that I don't have to be pulling the pins out while I'm sewing. So I'll just put like 4 pins in. I'm not a huge pinner, but when you're sewing clothing, especially and especially when this needs to kind of stay placed, pins are your friend. I'm using these little sharp little house pins. That's what they're called, little house pins. I love these pins. We've included them in lots of our event boxes. They're small, glass head, and super sharp. Okay. So I'm just going to bring this to the regular sewing machine now.
Are you doing the opposite sides out?
No, I'm going to do the right sides out and the opposite sides in. But you guys do whatever you think looks best on your apron. I could have done a contrasting color like this, like I did on that one, the contrasting. Remember, we're not sewing across the top here. We're only sewing around here because this is our actual pocket now. So I'm going to sew around here, but thank you for checking in to make sure I was sewing this correctly. That was the right thing to do. All right. I'm using that ditch foot still, or your edge foot, because we've got a little cliff here, and this is going to help me sew that pocket right to the edge. Just move my needle over a wee smidge. There we go. And back stitch. Now, a lot of these fancier sewing machines have near the buttonholes a tacking stitch, and you sort of see it sometimes in the top of jeans pockets. You know, a lot of places where there's pockets. It's a really thick, short row of stitches. You could put that in the top of the pocket too to reinforce it. If you feel like you're going to be carrying, you know, your water bottle or something heavy in these pockets. I mean, I clearly won't in this apron because these are minuscule now. But for those of you that aren't yakking while sewing and paying proper attention, you guys can always try putting a tacking stitch. On this machine, it's number 14 where the buttonholes are. And it's just good to use the stitches that come with your machine. Because sometimes, you know, we often just are like straight stitch, but, you know, there are things that can make the job easier and have your sewing turn out a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and put a tacking stitch. Ruby, I wonder if you could get me that shot. I'll show people what the tacking stitch looks like. If you can show them with that camera. I'm going to call it up here so you can see it. I'm going to take the, here, why don't I sew the other one while you, so Violet, you don't need to go to that camera. Let her get this while I sew down the other pocket. She's going to concentrate on getting that shot of the screen. And so I'll just go ahead and sew down this other pocket while Ruby's doing that. So if you're ever making clothing and you probably haven't even used this stitch before, but if you're ever putting a pocket in something or you're needing to reinforce like a bag strap or somewhere that's going to get a lot of wear and tear, the tacking stitch is going to be your friend. It's only about 1/2 inch long, not even 1/2 inch long. And it looks a little like a row of satin stitches, like zigzag stitches, really smushed together. So it's this stitch right here. So I'm going to just turn the page over. Yep. So I'll turn the page to now where the buttonholes are. And this stitch right there, number 14, that's the tacking stitch. And if I click it, it tells me to put on presser foot F, and it's going to go all the way up and back down. So see how it's got this arrow here? That's just indicating that the machine's going to sew that way and then come back around. So you know where to position the top of your pocket. So what I'm going to do is right here on my pocket, you see that? Like there's the top of the pocket right there. I'm going to put that tacking stitch right on the edge because that's what's going to get the most wear and tear when it comes to the pocket. So off that, I'm going to just put on the F foot like it's telling me. Can I find it? Yep. So on it goes. All right, so Ruby can just get the close up here and I'll show you guys that tacking stitch. It's like a buttonhole where you don't have to use the buttonhole foot, but you've got to start down a little ways and it's going to go back that way and then back up. So all I have to do is press start or press the presser foot. Up it goes, and now it's starting to do like this tiny little zigzag back. I'm just going to scissor and I'll show you. So do you see here? Now we've got that thicker row of stitches right there that's reinforcing that. So the pocket is extra secure. I'm just going to tack stitch the other side of the pocket too. And it just does it. You don't have to make it go up and down. It does it itself. It even tells me on the screen, machine stops when completed. Thank you, machine. So that's that tacking stitch. And you'll recognize it now as something like, oh yeah, I do see that on my jeans pockets. I do see that sometimes places. It's just reinforcing on a place that might get weakened over time from repeated use. Like I said, these pockets aren't going to fit anything, but your pockets could probably benefit from a tacking stitch. So we're going to put them in since we're going to be hardcore like our ancestors and wearing these aprons, you know, day and night while we gather the eggs and, you know, finish our chores. We need a tacking stitch to hold all the eggs we're going to collect. Or to hold our phones. I don't want to drop my phone either. Hey, where I lacked in teaching you about the pockets, I made up for in teaching you about the tacking stitch. There we go. Okay, I can take the pins out of my pockets. The pockets are now attached. I've never been so glad to be done with a pocket. Okay, if you had an embroidery machine, a 550E or an S9 or a 9850 or any embroidery machine, and you wanted to do a little something on the front, maybe your initial, you know, Jen's kitchen, Jen sucks at sewing pockets, look at some downward arrow, just kidding, I'll let it go now. But this would be the time because we're about to go right sides together and sew this to the other side. So this would be the time if you wanted to embroider something on the front of your apron, right here, you could hoop it up and do that now. Otherwise, we can go ahead with assembling the rest of the apron. And just before I do that, I'm going to serge the bottom edge of the apron. And, you know, whoever was asking why serge, this would be a really great place to serge. If you don't have a serger, what you can do now is fold it up like this and press, and fold it up one more time and press, and stitch along this edge. That way you don't have any seam that could unravel exposed to the washing machine or to the elements. But if you serge it, you just have to roll it up the one time and nothing's going to unravel. So I'm going to serge this edge. It just makes what you're sewing a little more secure, less susceptible to falling apart. Okay, there's the one side. And sitting on the other side, ha ha ha, here it is. Probably have to press it again now. I'm going to serge the bottom side of this one. The serger is so fast. Okay. So I'll show you that serged edge. So now this is nice and secure. Nothing is unraveling. Super professional. Just like me. Okay. All right. I have the apron here, right side up. I'm going to go right sides down. And we're going to always be working from the straps in. We're not going to line up the bottom edges because the bottom edge is going to help us if we've got any sort of anything that's not matched up. We want up here to match perfectly. So I'm going to just get rid of the serger now. So I've got a little more space up here. Definitely need my pins. How's this for the overhead? Do I need to move this machine over or we have some space? Let's see.
Look, it looks good.
Okay. So we need right sides together. Here, you can really see the tacking stitch. So we want things to be lining up now. So start with the straps. And we're going to leave the tops of all of the straps here, here, and here open. But first, I'm almost forgetting a step, but I didn't. Time to bring in these straps. So before we go right sides together, I'm going to add these straps to the top. Right sides together, right sides together. Yep.
Why would you not use the serger to sew the two sides together?
You can use the serger to sew the two sides together. The reason why I'm not using the serger to sew the two sides together is because it's a little bit bulkier. Now, I like it for the bottom, but because we need to sew this together and then we need to top stitch it on this side. So if I'm holding this up, you can see it all needs to get top stitched. With the serged edge around the top stitching, it's just that much thicker. So that's why I'm not serging all around these straps. I'm just doing it at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to add these straps. So I've pinned them, change back to my regular, I'm going to just change back to my 1/4 inch foot. And just a quick seam here. Oh, I better get out of my tacking stitch. So this is the part, if you've got someone at home that can help you, you're going to want to measure whether or not your apron is the right size after you attach these straps. And what I can tell you is I'm wearing the largest size, like where I'm using all of the strap provided. If you need it to be larger, you've got more fabric, you could add another strap, another piece to the end of this. I'm just going to go ahead and add the other strap to this side now. And we're adding it to the top, to the neck part, not to the side back strap. So it's where the scoop of the neck is, and it's right sides together. Right sides together. And you can pin it or not. And then just finger press the seam down here, and I'm going to just top stitch right along this edge so that that back, this flappy seam stays flat. So I'm just going to tack that down. I'm going to put the regular presser foot on for this. Lots of switching back and forth here. And the next one, just a finger press down is fine. Okay, same with the other side. Just tack it down. This time, have the seam facing the opposite way. That way, when the two come together, you're sort of more evenly distributing the bulk. So again, this time I'm having the seam facing forward instead of back. And the quilters will know that's because we can nest the seams. We'll just evenly distribute that bulk. Okay, so now grab one of the sides, and if you have a friend or your sister or your kid or your partner and you need a hand, this would be the time. And just check that this is going to fit okay before you put it together. So what's going to happen is this back one here needs to touch this top one here. I don't know if I'm reaching it or not. No, I'm not. And if you're having a hard time getting it, like this one I know is going to fit because this is the size I've made them. If it's not going to fit, extend this a little bit more with another band piece. If it's going to fit fine, What's going to happen eventually is this side's going to crisscross with this side, and this side, can we just show up, is going to crisscross with this side. We're not ready for that quite yet, but it's going to happen. But you need to measure right now so you know whether or not you need to extend those straps. All right, I'm going to leave it as is. And I'm going to go right sides together. So don't fall off the table. So here's the right side, and this is going to come together. So this and this. And I want to start with the straps and make my way down. If the bottom hem doesn't exactly align, it's okay because we're going to turn it up anyway. But we don't have much wiggle room around the armpits and in the straps. This is the part we want to make sure is the most lined up. So start from the straps and make your way down. And you're going to want to pin this. This is too big, too floppy, too much of a weird shape to not pin. So start with one side and make your way around both and pinning both sides. And don't worry if these seams don't exactly nest, but you'll notice that it's easier for one side of the seams bulk to be on one side and one side of the seams bulk to be on the other. And you won't have a huge hump right at your shoulder. We got enough lumps and bumps. Our apron can do us a favor. Okay. Keep on pinning. This part is sort of the long and tedious part. Lots of pinning, lots of sewing. Violet.
If making this for a child, could you just shorten the straps and possibly narrow up the front or back?
Yes, very good point. You would definitely shorten up the straps. You could make the bottom hemline a little shorter. On the pattern itself, there is a line that shows for a narrower fit. I'll show you. I'm sure I saw it here. I'm sure it says on the fabric. There's a spot where it shows for an, oh, right here. Here's the line for small or medium, large or extra large. And then on the actual pattern itself, I believe, oh yeah. On the one strap, there's a spot I know it shows for narrower, but I knew I wasn't narrow, so that's why I kind of glazed it over. But yes, you can make it narrower for a child. You don't need to make it as long. And if anyone sees where it says the narrower side, then you can flag me, but I know it says it somewhere. But good point for a child. The strap does have a small and medium line that you can follow. These are so very smock-like, so you could make them out of something that was waterproof or more of a heavier canvas. Wouldn't it be just so cute, as like I'm wearing here like tonight, but like as a little girl's dress? You know, they can have their little stretch pants underneath and a t-shirt, little pinafore type. Super cute. It's funny how just like changing the fabric up makes all the difference. You know, like we're doing these vintage prints, but this Fabulism, you know, that I've got on right now kind of has a little bit of a denim look, but it feels really linen-y and super, super soft and, you know, is great for just wearing around. All right, lots of pins here. I'm going to pin down the sides too. The bottom of this apron and the top and all of the strap ends, like all of these end pieces, are going to stay open. We're not sewing those shut. So just be warned not to get ahead of yourself and sew that shut. It needs to stay open. But the sides are getting closed and all under the armpit and down around the neck. So take your time and pin this. I know it's kind of boring to watch, but it really will be important when you're putting yours together to make sure the neck and these straps are lined up as flush as you can get them. Because when we turn this right side out and press it, we're going to end up top stitching around this entire thing. And the more precise, like the more lined up it is, the better it's going to lay when you press it and top stitch it.
So the apron's reversible?
The apron is reversible, yes. Right now, we've only made pockets for one of the sides, but you can see how easy it is to make the pockets. So you could put another set of pockets on the other side if you want. You need to do that before this step, though, before you sew it together. Or you can just have pockets on the one side, but it is totally reversible. There won't be a seam showing on either side. With the dress version that I'm wearing right now, I just used the same fabric on the inside as the outside. So it's a little less distracting. But with the vintage prints, it looks so cute with it being reversible and that the pockets are, the same as the inside, and you can kind of get a glimpse from either side. So be sure and post your version of the crisscross apron in the homemade group. If you haven't joined the Homemade with Jennifer Tryon group, it's where everybody posts all their homemade stuff, stuff they've made themselves to show off and let us all oogle over it. We'd love to see all the different prints because we chose 2 coordinating prints from this collection for the kits. Lots of people got the pattern only, and will be making it out of yardage that they already have at home. So it would be great to see your version of this apron, and even better, let's see you in the apron. And that's where you can post your pics. And what I love about that group is this all makes sense to all the people in there. Lots of people in there are doing this class and have the kit too. And so when everyone's sort of working on the same things, or it's fun to see everybody's version of it. So, that's what's so great about the homemade community, is that we're all working on, similar things, and we can kind of feed off of each other and build each other up, help each other out, have a laugh. So if you haven't joined the group yet, definitely do that. We'll get you in there. We often post like little bonus things in there. And so it's always great to have you. Okay, I'm getting to the end. Oh, pretty good on being lined up. All right. Redemption. It is a bit of a process, the pinning. And the sewing is even longer, so be ready. I mean, it's not long, it's just you have to do it twice because the inside and then the outside. All right, let's start. So I know someone said, why not serge it? You could, but I'm keeping the inside seam here as thin as possible. So just a little bit of, less thread. I am going to put my 1/4 inch foot back on the machine. That 1/4 inch foot helps just sort of guide that fabric to staying exactly where I need it to be. And I'm just going to choose the 1/4 inch from the menu there, so it automatically puts my needle over. And I'm going to back stitch. And don't run over your pins. And don't let your thread get caught on your foot like I just did. Okay. And we're on a real straightaway on the sides here, so I don't mind going pretty fast. It's once we're on the curved parts that we'll want to slow down a little. And you can see I'm using the stop-start button. This machine has a stop-start button. Once you start using the stop-start button, it's hard to use the foot pedal anymore. But I'm also up a little bit higher, so I sometimes have a hard time getting the foot pedal to reach. As it was with the serger, I have to put the serger pedal on like one of the shelves and then put my foot on it. Okay, now let's sew the other side. So we've got one seam done. Now we're going to go scoop around the neck. Again, I'm using that 1/4 inch back stitching. Now this is, I'm raising that presser foot because I'm about to run over that pin. I can turn down a little here. I don't need to go zooming speed because we're going to come on the curve here. And the more precise you are in taking your curve, the more scoop, the more natural scoop your apron's going to have. If you stop and start and jiggle things around too much, you're going to maybe have like an abrupt sewing line, which is not the end of the world. It's only an apron. It's not a wedding dress, so we're fine. But just kind of ease those curves and it'll lay nice and flat for you after. And then once you get on the straightaway, then you can haul it. Just keep up with the pin game. This is like a video game of like, can you get the pin out before the needle breaks? At full speed. The things you have to do to entertain yourself on a really long sewing stretch. Okay, now I'm on the next side. Is everybody hanging in there? I know it's starting to feel late, but I appreciate you sticking in with me here. We're almost there. Everybody there, Violet?
Yeah.
Good? Yeah? All right. Let me know if there's any other projects you'd like me to make live or you'd like to see done. I'm always happy to do these kinds of one-off little projects. They don't always have to be a huge quilt. I was thinking maybe we could do a jelly roll rug, some things like that in the new year. Projects that, it's nice to have a bit of guidance with, but that won't take weeks and weeks and weeks. You can sit down and kind of do them in one session. If anyone's also looking for something fun to do, we've got Block of the Month coming up in January. We're on the wait list for that right now, but if you put your name down, if you're interested in doing our block of the month, we're going to do a class just like this every month where we make the block, and by the end of 2024, we'll have all made the Barn Star Sampler. I love that quilt. Gorgeous. Look at it. Yeah, nice. So I'm excited for that. You can put your name on the wait list. That sold out pretty quick, but we are taking a wait list to see if we should do another round. So if anyone's interested in that, you can put your name on the wait list. We also have brush lettering coming out in March. The kits for that will ship in March. So if you visit homemade.ca and just look for the upcoming classes, you guys can find brush lettering. That's going to be really fun. There's lots of cool pens in that kit, books, practice books, projects. If you liked Watercolor Wednesdays last year and the year before, you'll love brush lettering. So I'd encourage you to grab that kit. The kits do sell out, you guys, so don't think, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. If you want to, I'd suggest doing it because they always sell out. And then we try our best at the end to like cobble together more because people are always writing and saying like, is there any more? I missed it, or I should have done it. But we can't always get the supplies. We always try. We were able to get a few more of these patterns, but we can't get any more of this fabric. So, you know, we try to just guess on how many, and then it is what it is. All right, one last side here. Almost there, almost there. A couple more steps.
A lot of people want to see a jelly roll rug.
The jelly roll rug, that'd be a good one. It requires a lot of, well, obviously you need a jelly roll, and you need 2 rolls of gel, like of the batting. So that's something we could think about doing for sure. I've got a couple of good ideas for later next year. I won't give them all away just yet. All right, gonna back stitch at the end here. Okay, it's all sewed together, like the wonky parts. Now what we're going to do is flip up the bottom, our serged edge. If you don't have a serger, this is where you will flip up and press, and then flip up again to hide your seam. If you've got the serger, you just need to flip up the one time and press, and then we're going to stitch right along just about an inch, or it could be a little more if you want like a larger seam. Sometimes having a little bit of a thicker seam on an apron bottom is good. You could go up like 1.5 inches or 2 inches, depending on how long you want it. Just make sure it's even. And then press before you sew.
Mom, are you ever going to do a cricket event?
Is someone asking about the cricket event? So we're talking to Cricket Canada about it. Cricket Canada wanted to do an in-person event in 2024. So we've been talking about doing an in-person event and making it an in-person homemade event where people can come, but we're also trying to think about costs and locations and things like that. So I know people who follow us for cricket have been a little like, there's so much sewing. Come on, let's get to some cricket stuff. In 2024, there's going to be definitely more of a mix. So I can't tell you right now for sure there will be a cricket event, but we'll definitely be using our cricket and doing stuff like that. And I'm always talking to the people at cricket, so we'll come up with something good, I promise. All right, I'm just exposing the free arm here so that, and I'm going to change to my regular presser foot because we don't need a 1/4 inch here. We need to make sure that the seam is caught the whole way down. So I'm going to go back to my regular straight stitch. And I'm just making sure the seam, I'm just putting that row of stitches right through the bottom of that serger seam. Now, if you don't have a serger, again, you'll have flipped this up again twice so that you're not, so that there's no, oh, it's giving me a little bobbin alarm here. Let's play bobbin chicken. Who's gonna win? And I like exposing the free arm here so you can just pull it around. And just keep on sewing. All right, I'm getting to the end. I'm going to back stitch. Yes. There's still bobbin thread there, but can I get through the rest? I doubt it. Okay. So, time for the exciting time to turn it right side out. Ruby, come and turn this right side out while I wind another bobbin. So you don't need a turner or anything special for this. You just need to pull it with your fingers. You can kind of get 2 fingers in there and just kind of scoop it out. See what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. All right, you pull that out, turn it right side out while I wind the bobbin. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Pull that bobbin out. I hate leaving extra thread on it, but you know. And I want to use the same thread on the top and the bottom. So that's why I'm winding another one versus just grabbing a pre-wound bobbin. Most of you got a spool of pink thread in your kit. It's a 40 weight all-purpose from Wonderfill. It's perfect for this kind of thing. Got it there, Ruby? Yeah. All right, the bobbin's winding. Got Ruby doing the hard work over there. Oh, I should just grab a Diet Coke or something. I need one, yeah. How are you guys doing? We're almost done. And you know what? You can tell I didn't do any, I didn't cut anything out ahead of time. You know, I even had to make the pockets 3 times. So you'll be able to, oh, yay, Violet. All right. You'll even be able to get this done now that you've watched me do it. Thank you, Ruby. Oh, you're still going. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done. You'll be able to get this done in just a little over an hour. It's not too bad, especially if you're, not distracted while sewing. You'll be able to get this done pretty quick. You won't be messing about with your serger or redoing the pockets. You'll probably start with your Diet Coke with you, not, midway through. Gotta say, I love the needle threader on this machine. I don't love the needle threader on all machines, but this one, done, worked. Works every time. I don't know what they did different with this one, but it's a good one. It's good news, eh, Rube? Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. Okay, thanks, honey. So just 2 fingers in and out it'll come. No need for like a safety pin or anything like that. But we do need to press this big time. So let's bring this over to the ironing board. Remember, we did not sew shut any of our strappy ends. And that's because we have to insert one strap into the next. And I gotta say, I don't love that part about this pattern. It does feel a little bulky when you put the same size strap into another one. Like they don't quite, they don't go in like super seamlessly, but it's fine. You'll see what I mean when you get to that part. And it is gonna be important that you take a minute and make sure that your seams are out. And you might wanna just roll like between your finger and your thumb down through the seams. And we're gonna press this so that we're not seeing the other fabric on the other side. Otherwise, your seam is rolled over too much. And if you just kind of, between your finger and your thumb, do this rolling bit, you can kind of get your seam so that it stitches out instead of a fold out. And we want this, oh, that steam is so good. Yeah, we want this to go right out like that. So let me know in the comments here too if you're a first timer. I know we had lots of people registering who had never registered for anything with Homemade before. So welcome if you're a first timer. Let me know if this is your first time. Some of the alumni can welcome people. I know there's been people here right from the very beginning. You can let the new people know what they're in for. Although I think they've experienced it, to be quite honest. One more strap here. Welcome if you are new. If you're just tuning in, we're making the crisscross apron. And it's an old-fashioned looking apron, the one I'm wearing right now. I made a dress version too, out of the Fableism fabric that we've got on our website. I love that fabric that's in the shop. And so I'm always looking for things to make out of it. And this sort of was perfect. But the vintage prints really lend themselves to the old-fashioned feel here. All right, make sure everything's laying nice and flat. First time? First time? First time? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We do a good mix of pre-recorded classes and some live classes like this where I can interact with you at the same time. You can see me mess up. That's what happens when you're doing it live. That's what happens when you're doing it, period. There's always messing up that happens. So hopefully you don't hold it against me if you're a first timer. We're glad to have you here. I'm located in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I have a quilt shop downstairs, and this is the studio that we sew in upstairs. And I do all the sewing TV for Janome and some other craft companies for Cricket, Canada, and some other brands that are on HSN in the US and the shopping channel in Canada. I have a regular segment on Global on the morning show where we are always doing crafts, DIY, sewing, all kinds of things. Okay, this is nice and sewn. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. For sure, let me know where you are joining in from, what part of the world you're in. We always get people from all over, and I love knowing where everyone is. Okay, this is looking like a real apron. I can't believe we made it this far. Yay. I need more deodorant on. Okay, sorry, that was too much information. But it's true. TMI, yes. Let's just have a little moment. Okay. This is the part where we need to top stitch down our entire thing. We're leaving our sides open, but we want to fold in one side, just like this. Fold it in, less than an inch, about an inch, whatever, as long as it's even, it's fine. About an inch, and then this one too, about an inch. And I'm going to press that. This is also what's great about this apron is that the size is pretty like forgiving and loose. So it's not like pants or a skirt where it's like it needs to measure along your waist. It's pretty forgiving. There's lots of room. All right, I'm pressing that folded in edge. I know it's not PC to be drinking like Diet Coke. everyone always has their nice water bottle, but I just need the bubbles, you guys. Okay. All right. So that part is folded under, and that's going to leave way for me to put this seam or this top strap in to this bottom one that's folded in. And this is sort of the part of the pattern I don't love, because this doesn't fit in super great because they're the same size. But it's not the end of the world either. So I'm going to pin it right across both, and I'm going to really pin it. Don't just flimsy pin it. Really pin it because I'm putting 2 in. Because we are going to top stitch all around here, and I want this to last. And so that's Criss. And now we're going to do the cross. So that one's tucked in. So we're going to put our raw edge one inside. Again, it doesn't meet up perfectly. I don't love this part of the pattern. But we'll just chalk this part up, put it with our tiny pockets. Pin. So if you're a first timer here, please, we do these classes all the time. So if you don't want to have to register every time, just follow the Facebook page here, join our group, and then you'll just get notifications like we're going live, and then you can join in without having to get the email and things like that. So if you just follow the page, then you're good. Join the group, you're good. Okay, I'm going to put on the edge foot again, or the stitch in the ditch foot, whatever one you have, that's going to allow you to go right up close to the edge for the top stitching. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. And so do we have, yeah, we've got a close shot. So you've got that, oh, what am I doing? That's the blind hem. Blind hem's not bad either. It does have that edge. But really, I want the S foot. This is better. I'm going to use stitch in the ditch because I don't have an edge foot for this one yet. So I'm putting that edge foot on, which means the fabric can't escape. So I'm just going to put my needle over ever so slightly to the left. So maybe you have a knob that moves your needle over. This one's just by the button. And I'm just going to needle down, and I can see that I'm right on the edge. Oh yeah, I wound the bobbin. I was going to say, oh, am I playing bobbin chicken again? No. And now I've got a super, super close seam on the edge of my apron here. Look how close it is to the edge. I would never be able to get that close to the edge if I had the regular presser foot. I would be all over the place. This allows you to get super close to the edge. And I love when you've got accessories like this that help you get more out of your machine, which is really, really great because you've probably spent a lot of money on your machine, and it probably does come with a lot of accessories. So maybe it has something like this that it already comes with. Or if you want to order a foot like this, we can help you. Just send us an email, info@homemade.ca. Even if you're in the US, we can order accessories for you. Machines, there's some machines we can get for people in the US, but we always try to give you guys great prices. We get some good deals from Janome, and we try to pass them on to you. Okay, right down to the end. So yeah, email us at info@homemade.ca if you need one of these extra cool feet for your machine, and we will do our best to get it for you. Just let us know what machine, what model number you have, because all the feet are different for different machines. Huh, so convenient. But yeah, all the machines, the feet go for specific machines. So we need to know what machine you need so we know what foot to get for you. So again, that rudder, that little fence in the front is really helping. As long as I run that fabric right along that fence, I'm able to sew right on the edge. So this, and even at top speed. Okay, I'm not gonna run over this pin just in case. Sometimes I just go so fast, I'm like, come on, Jed, slow down here. I'm like, but the people, they want to go to bed. If you'd like the kit, we'll put it in the comments, or you can just go on our website too. We've also got the pattern. If you just want the pattern and you want to use your own fabric, you can just look up the class. There's an apron only, or there's a pattern only drop down in the menu. You can just grab the pattern.
Did you ever get a machine cleaner in?
Pardon?
Did you ever get a machine cleaner in?
Pardon?
A machine cleaner. Did you ever get one?
What do you mean, a machine cleaner?
It just says, did you ever get the machine cleaner in? To clean the machine.
Like a technician? If you mean a technician, yes. We have a great guy named Damien who cleans all our machines. And so if you're local, you can drop your machine off and he will get it nice and give it a little spa day for you. If you're not local, you can ship it to us if you don't have someone near you. Almost there? Just need to move my needle over a smidge more. It's like...
What Janome would you recommend for a sewing newbie?
What Janome would I recommend for a sewing newbie? Okay. There's varying degrees of newbie. Do you have a machine already, or would this be your first machine, or do you have a machine that you're new and you've kind of outgrown, or maybe you've been using like an old machine? The machine for someone who's first starting out, that's great. It's like a good, reliable machine. Would be either the Janome 3160 or the 2030. Those are the numbers. 3160. The 3160 is the first machine that has the scissors. You've seen me press the scissors like this. It cuts the thread. I don't even have to bring the scissors over. That's the most introductory machine that has the scissor function. And the scissor function is something, once you use it, you can't live without it. So if you start with the scissors, you're really lucky. The 2030, however, is very similar to the 3160, but no scissors. The scissors also drives up the price. So budget is something to consider too, especially when you're new and you're trying to figure out whether or not you really like this sport. So my suggestion would be looking for something under $1,000 if you're new. Then the 3160 is a great option. It's around $800, which is still a lot of money. The 2030 is around $699, I'd say. And also a really good machine, just no scissors. If you need to go even less expensive than that, like very, very newbie, like around the under $300 mark, the C30 is an electronic machine, great machine for getting started. It's smaller, does not have the scissors, obviously, but has a lot of really good stitches, but it's just got a smaller footprint. And probably you will outgrow the C30 if you get into sewing. But lots of our Sewing 101 course that we have, like we have a whole sewing school online where we've got Sewing 101, Serger 101, Embroidery 101, Quilting 101. These are all very beginner classes, and we pair up machines with each of these classes so you can get them at a discount. And the C30, which is only about less than $300, I think it's $389 or $289, $389. It's maybe it's under $400. That's the one that we pair up with Sewing 101 is the C30. That's the machine that we use in Sewing 101. So that is a great beginner sewing machine, the C30, and it's not as expensive as the others. But my guess is that if you're watching this right now, you're probably, you know, deep enough into crafting or sewing that you might quickly outgrow the C30. They do hold their value though. So Facebook Marketplace it, and when you're ready for an upgrade, and then let us know. We'll help you find something good. And if you really need some help, like finding a good sewing machine for you, like you're really not sure what fits your skill level and your budget, then just make an appointment with us. We do consults all the time. Just email us at info@homemade.ca, and yeah, we can talk it over. Okay, did I just finish all that while I was yammering on? I think I did. The only last little thing I'm going to do, switch back to my regular presser foot, which at this point is probably like down the drain. Oh, there it is. And I'm just going to, where I had the pins on my strap, what's happening? Okay, where I had the pins on my strap, I've top stitched it across, but I'm just going to reinforce it with a straight stitch also. How are we doing there, Violet? Any other questions?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
This is just wanting to come out of that little socket there. So yeah, I'm just going to straight stitch right across that to reinforce the strap, back stitch, and back stitch. And the other side, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. I'm going to be done after this. Do you ever get to the very last thing and you're like a dog waiting to go outside? Like, I'm done. Yes. All right, I see a few little straggly threads that we'll go and snip off. But this is done. What do you think? Oh, the pockets are fine. Yes? Okay, I'm a little extra crisscrossed back here. I'll get it straightened out. Ruby says it's amazing. Well, good, Ruby, you can have this one. We all can have one. We've got enough of them now. I think it's super cute. And it's so comfy. So comfy. And you'll notice that the bottom stays open for easy washing. Also, I guess if you were out, needing to collect the eggs big time, you'd have a nice little pouch here. I'm not making fun of collecting eggs. I think having chickens is like the best. The kids won't let me do it because they think we'll then have, they just think that would be going down a whole other rabbit hole if we had chickens, but I would totally do that. I think it's the best. I did tone on tone with the pockets. You could go the other way, but what do you think? I'm gonna move this so you guys can see. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. There. Me and my friend in our matching aprons. Here, Ruby, come on in. You can have this one. Violet, you can have one too. Violet's busy at the computer. There you go. What do you think? Now, Ruby, if it was Ruby, I would make this maybe a little smidge smaller. Yeah, for sure. But they're comfy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cute.
I wouldn't say this is a dress for me.
No, that's not a dress for you. Yeah, it's sort of, but you know what? When kids are wearing grown-up size aprons, you could see if I would have made the straps a smidge smaller, like gone by the small strap, like this, Ruby, you wouldn't really have needed to make the bottom smaller because the strap, turn around, the strap would just be like that much shorter. And so you wouldn't necessarily have to take it up so much because the straps would take care of that. So yeah. What do you think? Like yours too?
I love it.
Listen, you guys have been great sports watching tonight. You can see my little dress version. It's exactly the same. There's nothing different. It's just made in a sort of like more flowy material. This woven fabulism. The vintage prints are super cute. Yeah, I love this pattern. I hope you guys have had fun watching. I hope you will make your own. Don't forget to post your versions. I can't wait to see all the different versions of the crisscross apron, see what you guys come up with. What do you think, Rube?
I love it.
Good, good. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.